Hi, I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Grace, and this is
A Very Bookish Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to A Very Bookish Podcast. This is episode 41. We do have a special guest with us. We have Jenna here. Say hi, Jenna.
Hello.
So, right before we get into everything, I do want to do some announcements. I am trying to be better at doing announcements before we get into it. So, here we go. So a couple updates for our shop, A Very Bookish shop on Etsy. 2 of our stickers have come in for our mid-September launch. They are based on The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, which we did a little bit earlier in August. So we wanted to show them to our YouTube viewers. If you're a Spotify listener or an Apple podcast listener, just make your way over to YouTube so you can see.
Or you can check our shop Instagram. We'll post a picture on our shop Instagram.
Most likely we will have it on our shop Instagram stories as well. So the first one is we have this You're My Mint chocolate chip circle ice cream sticker, which is in reference to their first date in the Kiss Quotient, which is a very adorable little moment. And then we have this one, which is Maggie's favorite.
Yes.
It is I'd buy you underwear, red underwear sticker, which if you read the book, you should know what this means.
Unless you read it in a day and don't remember anything, you should know what this is.
You should know what this is.
That's a direct call out to Jenna.
Listen, I remember now, okay?
Okay, so those are 2 of our stickers that we will have in our shop. We also have a People We Meet on Vacation sticker, which is currently being delivered to my mailbox, but obviously this recording is much more important, so it'll have to wait. You'll have to wait to see it on Instagram stories. We also have our enamel paints have just came in from our manufacturer. Our Cassian pen didn't come out the way that we expected it to, so we had to rerun it and do some different colorings, but we will show it to you guys. This is our Cassian and Castile pens. They do kind of connect together. You can see them. They are glittery.
Yes,
and
so
they do go back to back.
Glitter backgrounds, and then so for our Cassian, for our YouTube listeners, we're actually fixing his hair and his wings. So right now they're like a black, and when we made our designs, it was more of like a brownie black, and we thought there would be a difference between, but obviously there isn't. So we are working with our pin distributor to edit those colors and to get it better, so it will be different colors for his hair and his wings, so you can see the definition and the details that Grace put into those, because there's a lot of details in the hair.
There's a lot of details in the hair. So if you ordered a Castile pen from our shop, I will be able to send those out to you within this week. And if you ordered a Cassian pen, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a little while before it comes in. We will be putting these pins up again in our shop. So if you didn't get to order them, you will be able to order them now. Just you won't get the extra little bonus stickers that the pre-order did. And other than that, I think that's it.
So it is time to introduce you to the queen of Wattpad herself, the queen of Watt Talk, which I'm making up is Wattpad Talk. It is Wattpad Jenna is what we call her. But welcome, Jenna. How are you today, Jenna?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm doing good. I want to say thank you guys for inviting me. I'm actually really excited. But I'm doing good. I hope everyone else is doing good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Totally good.
I'm struggling with school. It's going. But Jenna, do you kind of want to like give who you are for maybe listeners who haven't heard of you before, your platform, your social medias, and kind of who you are?
Sure. So my name is Jenna. I'm 20 years old. I'm a junior in college, and I post TikToks. I started my TikTok platform back in last September. I started posting Wattpad recommendations, which got me my Wattpad name. And from there, I kind of just kept going with Wattpad, and during that time, I felt really inspired. So I actually ended up writing a book on Wattpad as well in those few months, being back at school. But so ever since then, I've kind of just dived into the world of book talk and a little bit of Wattpad, a little bit of regular book talk as well. And now I focus on TikTok. I have a book Instagram as well, which is Jenna Nids Reads. My TikTok is just Jenna Nids for those wondering. And I'm trying YouTube. I don't know how well it's gonna go. It's a lot different than TikTok, a lot longer, but yeah, that's pretty much who I am. I just post a bunch of hopefully relatable Wattpad book talk content and just Wattpad Rex and all sorts of Rex.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny because like I was on Wattpad like talk before I was on like Smut Talk, and that's why I first saw your videos maybe in like January, February, like right when I was like it's that transition into like Smut Talk. I feel like Wattpad is because Wattpad is such like a broad like genre on TikTok, I would say. And I would watch these like Wattpad like smutty, well, okay, confession. I confess this to Grace. I used to read Kylo Ren fan fiction like a year ago when I was on Star Wars.
Listen, you cannot. I have like 5 of them in my library right now. So like I'm not judging you because they were so good. Like I still go back and read them to this
Have
day.
you read the one from Casanova?
Oh yes, Fix Your Attitude.
Yes, that's the one that I
Have you by
read.
the throat.
That's the one that I read, and I was on Wattpad for a while, but then that's when I got on Book Talk through like Star Wars Talk. I was like on that like Casanova talk of like, oh, the Kylo Ren fan fiction and stuff.
Chapter 11.
Yeah, and like the lightsaber, like the infamous lightsaber book. That's all you need to know.
Stop! I literally tell my friends about that one like scene and chapter, and they all worry for me, and I'm like, yo, you don't get it. You don't get it.
So
that scene was
like I read that scene, and then like a couple months later I read Den of Vipers, and I was like, I really was reading that book, and then I got scared of Den of Vipers, and I'm like, that was a fucking lightsaber. That was a lightsaber. And I was just like, I'm thinking about that now. Listen. How I was like, oh, I was reading a lot of YA, but I read like Casanova. I read that, and then I read YA, and then I read Den of Vipers, and I was like, if I had read Den of Vipers right after that book, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yes, I don't think confession, I've never read Den of Vipers. I don't really know if I will. Just not my vibe right now, I guess, but literally the amount of Kylo Ren fanfiction and like fanfiction I've read on Wattpad, yeah, I'm no judge to you, I promise. Yeah. And Star Wars TikTok made me read those fanfictions as well. Like Kylo was all over my For You page. Sir, what were you doing there? Like
literally so many videos, like literally it was just like that time was just like we just have so much Adam Driver all over our For You pages. Literally, I cannot listen to the like I Need a Hero without seeing that video of him like running and like blasting behind his back. It's a thing, okay?
Okay, but the good soup sound that's like trending right now.
Oh my god. I freaking love that sound. Dude, like the whole like Star Wars TikTok made me have an obsession with Adam Driver. Like he's just so beautiful. Like I don't know. And like I respect him and I separate him from Kylo Ren. But like he's beautiful and I'm just like, you're on my For You page. Like please.
Okay. Cause we just have an appreciation for Adam Driver because like not only, he looks the way he does, but it's also like his whole like persona. He's so sweet and so nice, and yet it's just like
also
so like
his
Mature
photo shoot,
and,
his
like-
most recent photo shoot that he and it was all over TikTok. Like like, you know how like Ryan Reynolds, like every straight man will simp for Ryan
Oh,
Reynolds?
yeah.
It's like every Star Wars fan will simp for Adam Driver. And it's like
Big
I
time.
watched the HBO show Good Girls, or I forgot what it's called, but it's where he's in
It's
it.
called I think it's called Girls or
Girls,
something
it's
like
called
that, or
Girls.
just like, yeah, bro. I've watched so many YouTube clips of him in there.
It's
Where like y'all are sleeping on him. You are all sleeping on him. I do not care. I will not take any slander on his looks just because he doesn't look like a normal how you would
No,
perceive.
no.
Get out.
He's definitely that type of like attractive that is just like not conventionally attractive, but he is attractive in like his essence
yeah.
is what makes
Yes,
him
like,
more
he just-
attractive.
He like
It's
oozes just
something
like
that he
maturity.
exudes.
He ages like fine
Yes.
wine is what he looks
like-
every single year he looks better. And it's like, oh, daddy. It's that sound, you know, that like daddy. Oh, daddy.
It's because like
he has like, sorry, what?
it's like any guy that we like see on like, you know, on our For You page or whatever, trying to do these thirst traps or whatever. And you're just like, buddy, you don't have the same energy. It's not there. You're missing je ne sais quoi. Maturity. You're missing the vibes that will allow you to tell me what to do, and you just don't have it. And so move aside. And here's Adam Driver.
I feel like literally, like, he doesn't even have to try. Well, he doesn't try. His fans, like, he's literally a normal human being, and they just like cry. Like, and I get it because it just exists, and we just simply have to just observe. Like, sir, go right ahead. And like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that, because I remember when I started TikTok last September, that was when like Harry Potter talk, like Star Wars, that was all going on at the same time.
Oh.
And my whole Wattpad fan fiction was like Draco Malfoy and Kylo Ren, and I'm like, guys, I cannot handle this right now.
Too much.
I'm trying to do
It's too
schoolwork.
much. Oh my gosh, it's like always like that thing of like we read these books, right, and we see these movies of like these guys who are not love interests at all, but we are fixated on them. We're just like, we see that and we're running with it. We see that one look that they gave and we're just like, oh wait,
It's
pause.
the clenched hand vibe, the like, oh, the Darcy's hand
From
vibe.
yeah.
Oh,
it's just
That's
like,
literally Kylo Ren. That's literally his whole thing. Like, is the whole like holding hand. Like, why is that the most intimate thing of the whole 3 trilogy? Like, sir, please.
it's like that scene. What movie is it? Damn it. All three of the Star Wars movies like blend together in my mind. But him and Rey are like, they're doing that thing where like they're talking to each other, right? And they're just
It's in Rise of Skywalker. I feel like I know. It's in Rise of Skywalker.
yeah.
No, that's it's the Last Jedi.
No.
The Last Jedi.
yeah. No.
Because
It's
that's
not-
when
it's not
she's
the
with
first time.
Skywalker.
It's not the first time.
It's with
it's
when she's with
it is.
Skywalker.
Okay,
She's with Luke, and she's in the tent, or she sees him shirtless. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, not that one. The one where
Oh.
he is there with his helmet and like she's in his space. And he's just like, just give it to me. And he's just like looking at her and they're breathing hard. And she's like, no. And he's like, give it to me. And I was just like,
Guys, I can't right now. Y'all are gonna make me go watch this movie right now. Like,
Guys, the tension created by 2 characters that maybe had on screen time together a total of 20 minutes out of 3 movies, but the amount of like tension. Spoiler alert for the last movie. I don't care. It's been out for like 3 years now. But
yeah,
when she says like Skywalker is her last name, I wish Ben was right there walking to her.
dude,
That would have been the
they
perfect
did him
ending.
They did
They
him
did.
so dirty. I will never forgive. I'm not a sequel hater. I think people who hate on those movies are just pressed because they're led by a girl, and I will stand by it. But anyways, they did. I feel like they did him dirty. I like why he didn't have to have that ending. Like he didn't.
That was not the ending. They had like literally when he comes back, when she comes back to life, he gives her his life force, right? Comes back to life. She sits up. You see them talking to each other. They have a whole scene, a whole conversation right there, right before he collapses. He was not supposed to die, but they made him die. He was not supposed to die.
Okay.
He was supposed to be there with her in the end. And they were just like, no. And I'm like,
also, they were
haters.
supposed to develop their relationship earlier, like in The Last Jedi, when they're in the throne room but like before that, in the elevator on the way to the throne room, they were supposed to have a kiss scene there, or it was like rumored that there is a deleted scene, and they took it out. And I'm like, that would have like built up the end, like, you know what I mean, instead of just like randomly like at the end, like, oh. And that, but like they're like, I mean, like, and people are like, oh, I don't get their romance, and I'm like, how do you not see the tension from literally movie one? Like, they literally are on the same wavelength and like have that connection from the second they meet. Like, I don't care. I don't care.
And it was like that ending. I think it's Skywalker, the last one. It was like when she came back to life, it would have been so beautiful if they did have that conversation. And then at the end, when he did see, when like she's like walking off and stuff, if he was there, if she walked towards him, like that would have been, or like if I think I saw like an edited clip of like somebody editing together when he was walking on the sand. I don't remember which one. I think it was from I don't remember. It was some of the scenes from Skywalker and then Jedi, but it was like of him walking to her as the ending of the movie. And I was like, this would have been iconic. This would have been what we deserved. And I was just.
There's so much with like the Star Wars fandom that so many people like don't understand, like even like about the Force. And it's so much like back and forth between it. Like people don't understand what the Force actually is. It's not always for good to prevail. It's not always for bad to prevail. It's like there has to be balance. There is always balance. If something really bad happens, there's always something equally good that will bring it back to center. And people don't really understand that about the Force. And then because they don't understand the Force, they don't understand the path that the movies take. And then you could go into the shows, you can go into like Clone Wars, you can go into everything else, and you will always get these haters that are just like, no, that's not supposed to happen. Like, bro,
I've never seen a more toxic, like, I've been strictly in book talk, but when I made like some Star Wars friend when I was on Star Wars, the amount of toxicity in that fandom for movies that are like incredibly famous, like for a franchise that is millions and billions of dollars, that are upset over and like take it out on people who just want to enjoy the amount of hate there is for Rey's character out there on TikTok is insane. Like it's like you can like people will post edits of Rey, or just like post edits of like the women in Star Wars and then put Rey in it, and people will like destroy her in the comments. Like Daisy Ridley had to delete her social media like when she started this franchise because people are so ruthless. I'm like, it's a movie. One, please grow up and get over it. Like it's like not going to be exactly how you wanted, and it's literally fine. Like I can't. But
It's so misogynistic. The community is so misogynistic.
Yes.
Because like even with like Star Wars talk, like creators who are women in that community, that's why like I had to like that's why I didn't really get into the community much. But like it's so toxic, and it's like you see female creators when they talk about it and stuff, they get dragged through the mud by men on this app who think who are like sitting in their grandma's basement, like just
Literally,
scrolling through TikTok.
they're so belittled, like, and they are instantly treated as like their opinion or their content doesn't matter because they're a woman who likes Star Wars. Or and like I remember when I was also in that and I was seeing these creators, and like there would always be every single one of their video, there were always men in the comments being like, oh, you only watch it for like the shirtless men, or oh, you have no idea what you're talking about, oh, or it'd be like
No.
LOL, like a joke or something, and I'm like, babe, even if I do watch it for the shirtless men, I don't want to hear it from you. Please go take a shower, like I know you're musty, like mm-mm. And it's so rude because there people who have these Star Wars accounts clearly like Star Wars more than just the superficial whatever you're saying. You're gonna sit here and tell me you didn't look at Princess Leia? No,
Exactly.
you're not, because you did. So I don't want to hear it. Just because they find someone attractive does not make that they like Star Wars any less than you, or are not a real fan. Like the whole like real fan thing, I'm like, please find something
It's
better to do with your
always-
time. Like,
And like
It doesn't make sense to me at the end of the day. But then it's always those extremists that just like take something and run away with it so far that it's just like, bro, the I don't know where you're coming with that. Like the runway is not that long. I don't know where you pulled that from. This, you do not pass go, do not collect $200. This is not for you. You've gone to the extreme. Sit down. That we're not here for that. You know, like let us just enjoy it. Let us just be, you know, part of it. And it's so hard for like certain people to like understand this, and then like they'll be like, oh, but we're purists. We enjoy it because of the, and I'm just like, okay. I just know that I will not be able to have a conversation with you with any possible theory about anything else because it doesn't line up with your exact point. So it's just like, no.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing with, I think, the Star Wars fandom and a lot of fandoms, is that you will never win an argument or ever get them to just see the other side because they are so right automatically from the start. And their opinion is not an opinion, it's fact. And like they will always stand by that. And it's like they can't accept the fact that others do not agree with them or that they may be wrong. Like it's just like straight like right or wrong. And I'm just like, no, that's not how it is. Like people can have their own opinions, and like you can have your opinion on the movies and the characters, fine. But why do you seek out these videos of women cosplaying Rey or posting videos of Rey and going in the comments and saying how she's not a real Skywalker, or she was an awful character, she was a Mary Sue, like saying all this stuff? Why do you seek that out just to say that? Like that just tells me you're bored, because you can go hate on them or hate on Rey in a whole other video hating on Rey, but you choose to seek out people who like her. Like, please, you just want to fight. Like they just want to argue.
Exactly. That's literally what it comes down to. And people are having too much time on their hands. And they have trigger fingers. That's what it is.
I will say that one of the good things that comes out of the Star Wars talk is like the thirst traps.
The edits are absolutely
but like the
amazing.
cosplayers as well, the thirst traps that they post in like the Kylo Ren outfits.
Dude, I definitely have followed several people cosplaying Kylo Ren, like, but I've unfollowed them now because I'm embarrassed. But
yeah,
there was always that one guy that looks like
are you
so
talking
much
about
like Adam.
this guy? Like, is it Tristan or something on TikTok? Bro, I think I still follow him. Wait, let me look really
I like
quick.
how we're all pulling up our phones to see if we follow him still.
Because I follow him still, I think. Oh no, I think I unfollowed.
I definitely like will post like thirst comments sometimes. In one of his, I think I posted like "I'll kneel for you." It was like the top comment for so long. I
definitely have said some things in this man's comments that people have found me, like people who follow me, And I'm like, you guys need to leave me alone. I cannot breathe.
Yeah. No,
What's his username?
Oh
I
god.
don't know.
I'm trying to
find
think.
it. I thought it was Tristan. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm just gonna look up Star Wars.
Right now, he does like other cosplays.
Is it this guy?
Is it Young? No, it's not that one.
Oh, that
No?
one. That he looks exactly
This
like
guy
Adam
looks
Driver.
like he looks
The
like
one
Adam
that
Driver.
the one that I'm talking about is Young Soul, or like Soul, but it's Seoul.
Does he have the like Jar Jar
Young.
head? Is that the one that you're talking about? Have you seen that guy?
I don't know. I haven't seen him on. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Oh,
no.
That like
You know what?
Wait,
I'm gonna
so
just
what-
send. I'm gonna just send him
Young.
to
You said Young.
Soul, but it's Young as in YUN.
Him.
Yes, him.
Oh yes, yes. He talks about going to the
Him.
bathroom. That's the bathroom Star Wars guy. Yes, like he looks like him a lot too.
He looks like
Yeah,
him
he
a
has the
lot.
long hair. He has the long hair.
He has the long hair. If
And he
Kylo
does
Ren had
Bucky
a
cosplay.
yeah. If he had if Kylo had like a little scruff on his face, this would be him.
Yeah. No, I definitely Kylo's got cake. That's his user, like that's his like name is Kylo's got cake.
That's so
But,
funny.
I know there's like one guy who has like he has like the Jar Jar helmet like guy, and he posts so many thirst traps with the Jar Jar head.
Not that.
But like he also does like Kylo Ren cosplay. But the first guy that you showed, I followed him for so long because like there's something just about guys wearing a Kylo Ren outfit.
I remember he had like long hair back when like Star Wars TikTok was, and that's when he started doing the Kylo Ren cosplay. And then he like cut it in like recently, so he hasn't been like really posting, but he still does post. But
Yeah.
he's the only person I think I still follow that like does that cosplay.
Yeah. No, I definitely bought a lightsaber because of Star Wars talk. I bought a lightsaber and I have it. It's great.
As you should. As you should.
So like I go to Disneyland often. You know,
I'm so jealous.
It's amazing. I love it.
She's just trying to show
that's my
off.
flex. That's my flex, you know. But we do go to Disneyland a lot. My brother and I like Star Wars. We're not obsessed, but we do enjoy it, you know. And my dad was an original Star Wars fan, so he had a whole thing about like Disney taking it over and making it.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
he was one of those, but then he would still go watch the movie, of course. And I'm like, okay, Dad, all right. So then we, of course, when we went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time, it was like totally insane. And like my thing about Disneyland is just like the way their like immersion into any space that they go into is very, I think, a lot like them, in the sense that I want the space to make you feel like you're there. And I want it to like, it's about like the atmosphere, right? And so Galaxy's Edge has that. And if you ever go, or if you ever have been, to any listeners, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So walking on, it was a very different experience from going on to Smuggler's Run and going on the Millennium Falcon, being able to like drive it and everything. It's like absolutely insane. One of the best experiences ever. And then I was lucky enough to get on Rise of the Resistance recently. And
I want to do that so bad.
My dad, who doesn't like Disney taking over Star Wars or whatever, right? On that ride, he was like in awe. And he, like, at one point, I feel like I looked over at him and I feel like he was like about to like
Cry.
you know?
Me.
But it was like you know, because it's like you're in it, you know, like if you've heard about like that ride, you know, like you're right in it and everything. Then as soon as we got off the ride, he found out that my brother wanted to make his own lightsaber and do like the whole thing at Disney.
I want to do
And
that.
I was like, dude, I'll do it with you. I don't care how much it is. Like, I'll do the whole experience with you, because I've seen like a couple of snippets of videos on TikTok and stuff of people going to go do them, and I'm like, dude, that looks so dope to do it, you know? But you have to do it with the right people who also like make it like, you know, it's fake, you know, it's money, right? But you want to do it with the people who will like, this is an experience, we're doing this, we're making lightsabers, you know? And pretty soon, hopefully, I'm gonna try to do that to get my own lightsaber. I would want one, but we'll see.
I have also seen those videos, and that is one of my dreams to do that too. Just go to any Disney park, because I mean, I've been to Disney World when I was younger, but not since I've been older, like, and have obviously seen more, done more, appreciated more. Like, when you're younger, you don't really get to appreciate like how amazing of an experience Disney World could be, or Disneyland. And it's like, I feel like as much as it is in an amusement or a park for kids, it's also like in a park for like adults, like, because you don't get to appreciate it like that when you're younger. Like, I really want to go to Harry Potter World. Like, I didn't go to Harry Potter, like Universal, when I went to Disney World. I didn't go to Universal, so I never got to see that. Really want to do that, and obviously like Galaxy's Edge, but one day.
It's an experience, and I highly suggest you do it. Both like Harry Potter's Wizarding World too. It's something about like bringing these things that we love to like life, where you actually get to step into it, that just makes you feel like, I'm home. This is me, you know?
Literally, it's the closest you'll be. And now they opened like Marvel's campus, like that. Like, so it's like they're bringing these like franchises, you know, and these
It's our childhood.
these movies.
Our childhood.
Exactly. Like, you grew up watching this, hearing about it, and like wanting to be them or be that cool, and then here you go, you can go to these places and like pretend for the day. Like, I don't care, I'll do that.
It's like, it's something that's like so like special, because like this will always be my story with Marvel, but like, I grew up watching these movies, right? I mean, these movies 10 years running. I remember going to go see Iron Man for the first time with my brother, Incredible Hulk, all of these movies. Like, we were so excited. We were piecing it together, him and I, and we watched every one of these movies together as they came out of theater multiple times, right? And then when Endgame came out the weekend of my birthday. I think it was like my 23rd birthday. I don't know, I lost count. And I was just like, dude, I really want to go watch it. And then he's just like, okay. But then I was going away for the weekend to Santa Barbara, and I was going with my then boyfriend. And my then boyfriend would always be touchy, because I used to go to the movies with my family. Like, that was our thing. We would go to the movies. And he was just like, how come you never go to the movies with me? And I'm like, well, because you don't care about the movies that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna go watch a movie, I want you to care, to know, you know? It's not like we're going to go watch, you know, like Fast and Furious. Like, if we're gonna go watch that, I know you're gonna be serious about it, because you like all the other Fast and Furious movies, which I do too. And I'm gonna do that for you. But this is Marvel. This is serious. He's like, I know, I watch Marvel. It's going to be fine. Okay. We go to watch the movie. I'm sobbing in this movie, sobbing throughout it. And he's like mad at me. First of all, falls asleep. And I'm like,
red flag.
Get out. And I'm tapping him to wake up, because he told me, make sure you keep me up, because he's the type that gets comfortable anywhere, falls asleep anywhere. So I'm tapping him to wake up, and then we're watching the movie, and I'm like getting emotional. I'm into it. And then he's just like, are you serious right now? You're crying over it. And I'm just like, you don't understand. Leave me alone. I'm sobbing sobbing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally stopping myself from crying. We get out of the theater. He's like kind of upset because I kept waking him up or whatever, which you would be anywhere else. But this is important. This is a movie theater. You don't get a pass. We're sitting outside.
This is Endgame.
This is Endgame. And he's like, I can't believe that you're crying over this.
Oh, we talking about your
not even that
ex?
serious. Yeah. And he's just like, it's not that serious. And I'm like, yes, it is. And this is why I never want to go to the movies with you, because you don't understand. You don't understand that this is not just a movie. It's more than that. And so, like, I hate that my like culmination of like 13 years was to watch this movie that meant everything, that everything was leading up to watch it with this dude who did not even care. So then I watched it with my brother the second time through, and we did the whole reactions and everything. But it was just a bad feeling, a bad vibe. I also went, Disneyland has these nights of like themed nights for special events and things like that. And they had Marvel's Heroes Assembles night at Disneyland California Adventures, which they had all the characters like coming out. Like, you had Captain Marvel there, you had Black Widow, Hawkeye, Black Panther, you had Iron Man for the first time ever at Disneyland California Adventure. He's usually in Japan, but it was the first time in California Adventures. You had everybody, right? And you don't really get to do that. And it's these nights where the park closes early, except for these special tickets. You get like badges, they have like special events, they have dance floors, they have Animation Academy, which is this place where you can draw characters and they teach you step by step how to draw characters. We drew Spider-Man for the first time. It was so dope. And I went with my ex. And then we went to go see Endgame after. And I was just like, you went with me that night and you still didn't understand. So it was like,
Yeah.
that's why he's my ex. That's why he's my ex. He's not.
That explains the consequences of his actions.
Not
appreciating art.
Literally, when you care about something, do not take people who don't understand the hype. You go with people who understand it, who care about the experience. Like, you're not gonna go, like, even if you're having a conversation with somebody, like, yeah, you say like, oh yeah, it's my favorite book, and then you don't catch the energy. You're just like, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. But then when you're just like, oh yeah, my favorite book is this book, and then somebody's just like, I've read that book, and you immediately change. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, we start talking about it, you start catching the vibe, and it feels so good. And not everybody has that. Like, it's just, it's just something.
Yeah, I think like with a lot of things, like, you always want someone to match it, or just at least not make you feel or make you feel like shit for trying to bring up something you really like, no matter how nerdy or unusual and maybe whatever these stereotypes they're gonna place. But like, for me, like, I have like all my roommates here, or like all my friends here where I go to school, like, we all enjoy Marvel, or at least 3 of us. So we've been seeing like these past few movies together, which is like the first time in a while, obviously. And then, but like, I'm the only one who really enjoys Star Wars, because ever since last year I'm all up on them, but they don't care. But like, I have like this one of my best friends, her name is Morgan. She literally, I know that she would, like, if we want to go to Disney World again, I know if that I ever like brought her to something like that she would just match my energy no matter what. Like, she wouldn't like be like, oh, okay, like, she'll take my pictures, she'll film me while I'm doing whatever. Like, you just need that person that, even if they don't really understand what exactly it is that you are obsessed, that they understand that it means a lot to you, or that they understand that you enjoy it, and therefore they're not going to take that away from you. They'll let you talk about it, they'll let you do things like that shit. Like, I get it. And that's why he's your ex-boyfriend, because he couldn't even step up to the plate and be like, hey, you enjoy this thing, so I'm going to enjoy it as well, even though I don't understand it completely.
Exactly. That you need people who match the energy, who make you feel like yeah, you know, when something happens and you're just like, oh, you know, this is a big deal to me. Oftentimes a lot of people are just like, yeah, it's a big deal to me, but it's fine, don't worry about it. Like, we don't have to do it. It's just like you need that person to be like to care about your inner person and be like, no, this is important. We're making it happen. We're doing it. We're getting it done. You need that person to be there for you. And it's really hard to find it where that person is in it for everything. Like, you can get people who are in it for this specific thing, another person who's in it for this specific thing. But in the end of the day, when the more you find those type of people, the more like you feel complete, because you know that if something happens in any of one of these categories, you have somebody to go to feel accepted, you know. And I feel like with everybody on Book Talk, no matter if you're on Wattpad, no matter if you're on like spicy romance, YA fantasy, whatever, this community has allowed for us to find.
I'm so sorry.
Bless you. I don't know what was going on over there.
I was about to sneeze, and then I was trying to cough, and then I was trying to sneeze. Sorry.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
I tried to keep it as silent as possible.
I will say,
Yeah.
sorry. I will say
No, you're
that
good.
I was just going to bring up Book Talk because I think that essentially is what Book Talk is. At the core of it, it is a place where, you know, people of all ages, especially younger, can go and, you know, have a safe space to obsess and talk about books of any genre with a group of people that they know are also there for books. And like I was talking about this, or we were all talking about this in a recent like panel I did with other book talkers, where that essentially is what drives like Book Talk, like its popularity or what it is at the core. And like especially when it comes to authors promoting their books, that's what drives their sales, because it's just a bunch of kids, or not just kids, but a bunch of people talking about a book they love, and then it blowing up somehow and being pushed onto random people's For You pages, and then that's that. But like at the core of it, Book Talk is that person that will obsess with you over every single thing and won't judge you. Sometimes they do, but we ignore them.
Oh, Book Talk is heavy judgmental.
Heavy judgmental on specific
books,
but in the core, specific books, specifically towards romance readers. But it's okay.
Yeah.
But at the core of it, it's supposed to be that safe space. So I think that's what all of us really like about it. Like when we find our niches, like romance readers or like fantasy or young adult, like we all feel safe enough to be like, hey, I love this book, or hey, this made me cry. Like, you know what I mean?
See, Calvin, we brought it back to books. Just for Calvin.
I brought it back just for you, Calvin.
If Calvin's listening, I always say, like, Calvin, if you're listening, send me a text message. I never get a text message, so I don't know if Calvin's actually listening. So I'm calling Calvin out right now.
He did listen because he sent us a voice memo the last time.
That's true. That's true. He sent us
He
a
did.
voice memo of Alia, and I really listened to it out loud, and I shouldn't have, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad I found him. Like, he's so funny. I literally cannot get over his videos. Kill me.
like
He's so funny. But yeah, like you end up also finding people who are like so out there, and you're just like, where have you been? I needed you. Like, you're the type of person that I need in my life. And Calvin is definitely like one of them, because he's just like so out there, and you just like, he just makes you feel like you just want to laugh with him and talk with him. And he's just like, the vibes are there. The vibes are there.
Yeah, no, Calvin's
They're
like
for sure
really
there.
great. He's precious. Calvin is precious, and I feel like Calvin is definitely a breath of fresh air to the book talk community, because before Calvin was on, I don't know about everybody else, but I just felt like the book talk community just felt kind of stale for a while, where it was like right before like the smut like reformation. I'm gonna call it the smut reformation, when like everybody just got into smut. But it was kind of like, it was like January, February, March, where it was just like, it was like right after like A Court of Silver Flames like was going off and stuff, and then it just felt kind of like, okay,
Like we're just here
yeah,
and we're waiting for the
And
next
I
wave
also
of
think
something.
during that time, I think a lot of book talkers were hurting, at least
Yeah.
me and my friends, like content wise. A lot of us were feeling like burnout because I think there was just like a general like algorithm change that a lot of us weren't seeing the same responses that we did like a month or two prior. I know I did, and it was like it can really get into your head, and
Yeah.
like I think we all kind of felt that way at that time. So I don't know which I think summer came around as when it really picked up again, in my opinion, like the last
yeah,
couple months. I think, you know, the whole smut thing, whatever, of course, people love to talk about it. And I think it just became like, it took like a group of people or just a group of
Ice Planet
videos
Barbarians.
to just,
It's an Ice Planet Barbarians.
to just show people that, you know, you can read this and we don't like a lot of people are with you, but
Yeah.
they may not scream it to the world out here, but they'll scream it to their phones. So like,
Yeah.
and then there was just a whole, I think people, you know, found their rhythm again, or just like, there's a lot of different content now. Like the For You page, like like what people like is always changing. Like lately it's been like tropes, like people love trope videos, like scenario videos, like
Mhm.
it's like always changing, and it's just going with that. So Calvin was a breath of fresh air.
He was. Also, a video that I have been seeing a lot lately is like, if what would be the last line of the book if this, and
Oh,
this happened,
yes.
or what would be like the how would they say this, da 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 da, and like writing prompt videos. I've been seeing a lot of those.
Some of those are really good.
Definitely sparking up
There's one
inspiration.
of the like the writing prompt videos of like the last sentence, if like two like enemies got together but then they broke up at
Yeah.
the end, and it's like the comments make me want to cry sometimes, because it's like these beautifully written last sentences where it's like, even in the end I knew we weren't meant for each other, but the journey there was like something. And I sit there and I'm like, fuck my shit, damn, I did not mean to cry today at 3 a.m. because of like, I'm even tearing up now thinking about some of the comments I read, where I was like, damn, like some people are hitting it
The
hard.
talent is there. The talent is there. It's always like, it always comes up in like weird waves where you just like start realizing like, whoa, people actually are writers. And then you're just like, well, duh, obviously we got like Wattpad and we have AO3. Like, it's not empty. Those apps are not empty. They
We
got a
have the
whole bunch
queen
of stuff.
herself right here writing a
Exactly.
book. Okay, so that kind of transitions into,
Yeah.
how did you start out writing on Wattpad and writing your book and stuff? And how did the idea come to fruition?
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me right, because it says my internet is really unstable. So can you hear
No,
me?
you're good.
You're good.
Okay. Basically Wattpad, I mean, I've always had Wattpad for many years, probably when I was too young. I've made that clear. But and I never wrote on it or whatever. And then like I said, so when I started making TikTok videos last September, or last like fall time, I got really inspired by the response to my videos. A lot of people in my comments, you know, just I was like, okay, what if I take this and I, you know, put it into an idea or a book or something? So I actually started out by making a Wattpad book of like the best Wattpad books to read, where I literally just put Wattpad books. And, you know, though they used to
Yeah.
have those on there, it would be easier for you to find books. So I started doing that. And then shortly after that, I remember I was literally just sitting in my living room at school, and I was like, I had this idea. This was when Enemies to Lovers was also, I mean, Enemies to Lovers is always big. Like, it's never not a thing. And I remember thinking, like, I always got asked for Enemies to Lovers romance. So I was like, you know, what if I just wrote one? So I the idea literally came out of nowhere. I pictured like an aesthetic kind of like the typical like brooding CEO, like alpha male kind of. And like I took that idea and then I wrote like a description of the book, which is still like the same description to this day. And then from that description, I just started writing. So the idea just kind of came from like an aesthetic or feeling I had of like what I wanted this enemies to lovers to be. And then I just started writing, and the comments were like, or like the readers were like the biggest encouragement. I was literally updating every other day. Like I was pushing out these chapters during school because of how inspired I was. On top of that, like doing TikTok, but TikTok was fun to me. I mean, like it still is. Sometimes it's not, but like back, like when I started, it was just all fun. Like it wasn't anything stressful. So from there on, I just kept writing, and I think I finished it, I don't know, a few in November, I think. I'm not sure. I forgot. But I would say it was definitely a crazy journey. And Wattpad writers do not get enough credit. I think when you start writing on there, you just realize how much like they don't get credit for. Like, of course, you're gonna find a bad egg of stories or a bad story every once in a while that's like not good. But most of these stories are really well written and well crafted, and like just how much energy and time goes into making a book. I feel like not a lot of people realize because you're just reading it. Like every little thing that goes into that is like a thought out process for the author. And Wattpad writers are putting like their first drafts for thousands, millions of people to see and read. And as you're posting these updates, you're also getting comments, and they sometimes or a lot of times they're mean or just like being like they don't like the character or whatever. And like as you're writing, you're like, oh God, that's very encouraging. But there's also an influx of very nice comments and encouraging, and that's what I think a lot of keeps a lot of Wattpad writers going, at least for me. But yeah, they do not get enough credit. They're putting their first work out there to be judged by everyone in the world, to get stereotyped and to get grouped into a bad stereotype for Wattpad. Like they do not get enough credit. Like there are some really talented people on there that are just waiting for their break. Like I'm telling y'all. That's my message for this podcast.
Well,
Wattpad writers are underrated.
Well, you have like Wattpad writers, but then you have this superiority complex when it comes to AO3 and AO3.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Who will bash Wattpad and like totally demean the people on there for like reading it and stuff. And I'm like, AO3 doesn't even have an app.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I think what a lot of people fail to just like consider and being like this. Most people that are putting these like opinions out on how they prefer AO3 are people who enjoy primarily fan fiction. Like AO3 is primarily a fan fiction site where you can put specific tags and like fandoms, and that's why a lot of people like it. Like it does have a better tagging system than Wattpad. It does have a more wide variety of fan fiction than Wattpad, at least in my opinion, because like there's an easier tagging system to find it. But Wattpad it's not just fan fiction. Like almost all the stories I suggest, almost like 98% of them are original stories. They're original character stories. They're not fan fiction, fan cast stories. And like for people to generalize, because like you found some bad fan fictions on Wattpad, so like Wattpad's bad, even though it's not just fan fiction. Like you can say you don't like the fan fiction on Wattpad and you prefer AO3, that's totally fine. Like I think if I were to search for fan fiction, I would search for like AO3, but Wattpad has like great regular original character stories. And I literally filter out AO3 in my comments because when I first started this account, I was getting so many like just demeaning comments and being like, oh my God, people still read Wattpad, or like, why aren't you got like AO3 so much better? Like, okay, why are you saying that on my video about Wattpad books you should read? Then don't read them. Like, I don't know what you're gonna say.
It's not that hard.
And I also feel like Wattpad now is becoming more sophisticated when it comes to like, because they're publishing books now. Like Wattpad books are getting published. And like AO3, like I'm pretty sure AO3 is like a nonprofit. Like it's it's not like Wattpad, where Wattpad is a business model, and it's like people pay to be on Wattpad, and it's like you pay for those like better stories. And I always just felt like Wattpad, like, yeah, there are those like very like vile comments you get, but Wattpad just always feels like a more welcoming community, and their interface sometimes does get annoying when you're trying to search for like the title of a book and it doesn't show up
Yeah, they're
anywhere, and you're like,
Or
is it,
you're
they're
looking for
search
like a
and
specific name.
yeah,
they've said like they have at least like since I've started posting TikToks, I've made some friends and I made some like Wattpad friends or whatever, and like they know these problems, you know, and they have plans. Like I think the biggest one, oh gosh, I forget what's this one that I like made a video about that I wish that they had. Like I think the biggest thing they need is like a history like tab, like so because the amount of books I've lost because you don't add it to your library,
Yeah.
but when you go to look for it, it's not, you don't have history, so you can't find it. Or the search engine, it's no longer like accurate. Like it shows when you look up a title, it won't show you the most voted or rated ones. It'll show you just anything with that title, if that makes sense. Like I think
Yeah.
they know they have these problems. Like I think they're aware. But like besides the minor stuff, like I think it's a pretty like they're an app, like obviously they've changed a lot and they get a lot of hate for like doing paid and stuff. But like at the same time, if I was an author that had a 25 million hit story and I could put that in paid and make some money for my life, I would. Like
Yeah.
you have this large fan base or readers who have plenty time to read the story as a free book, and like you can, I know buying books isn't always accessible, like as accessible, but at least on Wattpad, I think it's like $5 to buy like these like so many coins, and then you can buy a book with the coins. Like basically, that's how they do it. But I think they've got a lot of hate, and they still do, and I
Yeah.
still defend them sometimes. Like obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think people overreact. Like I think it's like at the end of the day, there's still like thousands and thousands of free stories on there that
Yeah.
you can read.
And that's the thing,
Like
is
Yeah.
completely free.
that's why they have that business model, is for those who are wanting to get like the top exclusive, like it's a very like Wattpad is a very like open place where you can go and find anything, and you can find it for free, or if you're willing to pay, I guess you could say premium, and pay those dollars to get it, you can as well if you have those funds. But hey, I want to read a book and I don't have the money for it. You can get on Wattpad and read it for free. AO3 if you're looking for fan fiction, but like I don't fault you if you read AO3. I don't fault you if you read Wattpad. But I also noticed that when it came to like when we were like reading like the Kylo Ren Kylo Ren fan fiction, because I read it on Wattpad, and it was like, it's kind of crazy how many like people have read those stories, and like your book Falling has 6.2 million views, like million, like just
I know, I can't even think about that. Like it's like I don't think like as much as people hate on Wattpad, it's still like they have billions of readers. Like the mass number of people that still use that are not even on TikTok or on the internet will never go away. Like they'll never lose that target audience. And like to me it's crazy.
Yeah, because like even like years later, it's still people are still reading stuff on there that was like put on there back when like I was in high school, you know, and like even before then, because like in high school, like my freshman year, I ended up joining Wattpad and like deciding that I was gonna write something. So then I did, or I started writing something, and I think I got like maybe like 3 chapters in, and then I never updated it again because I got busy with like, you know, the high school things. And like maybe like when I was like 2014, I checked it again, maybe like 3 years after, and people were actually reading those 3 chapters and like waiting for like an update, and I was just like
okay.
sorry.
The Wattpad author updates are sometimes the most funniest things to read because it'll be like 3 months without them posting, and they're like, "Hey guys, I just got cured of cancer. I'm back
Literally.
to posting weekly," and you're like, "What?" You're like,
What?
Like, they're insane. But like on the bad side of that, I've seen some like there's like a big generalization or like it's so normalized to like dehumanize Wattpad authors. Like I've seen those
Literally.
videos and like, yeah, it's funny to be like, okay, their author's notes are crazy. But then I've seen comments on videos of being like, I don't care if you were sick. I don't care if your mom died. Like, update my book. Like, I know they're probably joking, but like it just goes to show like
Yeah.
I like how dehumanized Wattpad authors are until you put and like most time they don't show their face. Like I mean it's a very anonymous site where people can write what they want. So unless there's a face behind it, I feel like people just say whatever they want, whatever they like, you know what I mean? And like when I see those comments, I like personally I wish I knew what book they're referring to so I could like send it to the author and have them block them because I would not want that type of reader reading my book. I will personally live without you if you don't care. Like just to have empathy. Like you obviously you want an update. I get that, but not even to have empathy is like, girl, please,
Literally.
next. Like,
yeah, like it's not that serious, but like if I cared enough about this as the author to update the book, I wouldn't just leave it here for free for you guys to read, you know? I'm doing this because I want to do it. I'm not doing it because
exactly.
you know, it's not nothing like that. It's always like something so bad with it, and like it often like scares a lot of people from wanting to start writing on Wattpad because of those fans and things like that. And like there's like definitely like plus sides and then like the negatives too. And like it's always like insane to me to like books that I read years ago on Wattpad and then like seeing how they're doing now and that people are still loving them or like still hating that on them or something, you know? And like what you said, like it's like the author's like first draft basically on there. Like Calvin will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear like Victoria Aveyard was basically giving like tips for authors. Like she was like doing writing tips during one of her TikToks or I think on her Instagram.
She was on her TikTok.
Like,
yeah.
She was like, oh, I started on Wattpad. Like I would write and like I would run first draft ideas on Wattpad and like get feedback from them. And then that's how you grow as an author, like getting feedback and then rewriting and scratching and things like that. Not saying that she put like Red Queen on there, but like to get to be that, you do need that kind of give and take between like your audience and you as an author.
Colleen Hoover was also on Wattpad. She started on Wattpad as well. Like I remember I went live on TikTok once and she like joined my live. I low-key cried. And I was talking about my book and she was like, you wrote a book? And I was like, yeah, I was like saying how I wrote on Wattpad and she was like, you know, like Wattpad is great. Like I started on Wattpad and it just goes to show like there are these authors out there that just, you know, are normal people who had an idea, who wanted to write it, you know, and hey, why not put it on an app where you can communicate with a bunch of other people? The good side of it is getting that feedback. The bad side of it is like the world seeing your raw work and your mistakes, you know, and hearing that. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's a great site to, you know, for writers to like start their publishing journey because a lot of writers,
you're convincing me to put my book on Wattpad right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, what a lot of writers do is they'll put their book on Wattpad and then, you know, takes off or, you know, it gets a lot of readers or they get a fan base or reader base, then they self-publish and they have that reader base from Wattpad who want to buy this physical book because it's their favorite book. And of course they get backlash because it's not free anymore. But at the end of the day, it's the author's choice. They don't have to buy it, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of writers do that. I have a lot of writer friends on Wattpad who are doing that. And Wattpad Books is, like you mentioned, they're their own publishing house, and they're fairly new. I think they started out like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And they've already published like 20 plus books that are Wattpad like classics. But if you don't get that opportunity, obviously you have to be approached by them. You can self-publish with this like 20 million reader base, and that'll obviously translate to some sales because you have some people that are going to want to buy this physically. So
And especially,
I think if you're a writer, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, finish and then I'll go.
Oh, I think if you're a writer out there and you're listening and you're worried, or if you just want to start writing on Wattpad. It might be scary. You might not like the comments. But don't read them. Don't look at them. And just, get your work out there, get your ideas out there. And you'd be surprised how many people will enjoy your work. And if you want to self-publish, I think that's a great place to start, on my opinion, because you already have some sort of base of people who are going to buy your book and hopefully talk about it. So
Yeah. So, I know there is for Stalking Jack the Ripper, Carrie Maniscalco, when she was doing that series, Kate was talking about it. She got her arcs, but Carrie would make a different ending for the final book. So like, if I guess that's also a way of like, if the readers want to see like the true ending and stuff, or like the ending of the book, hey, here's my published book. Thank you everybody for reading. If you are interested in reading this alternate ending, the true ending or something, you can.
Yeah, I think with a lot of like books that like end up getting published after being on Wattpad for a while, they are very different from what was first originally put on there. Like
Yeah.
the bone structure is still the same, maybe like some of like the meats are still like the same, and like but it's still very different from what it was online
Yeah.
to what's actually in like a physical book, and like it just, I like Wattpad. Do I wish I spent more time on it? I do. I wish I had more time to like dedicate actually writing on there, because like I've the amount of projects that I have started on my Wattpad, and like just like was like, no one's gonna want to read this, no one's gonna care. Let me just not finish it. And that like one thought is like what stops a lot of people from ever pursuing that dream of actually being a writer, whether it's through publishing it on Wattpad, or like self-publishing it, or like getting picked up by an actual publisher. That thought of like, no one's gonna pick up my book stops so many people from like actually getting it done. Like the author of The Love Hypothesis, Ali Hazelwood, I was on like a live stream with her, and she was talking with another author about like how she is completely blown away by people who actually want to pick up her book, and that she didn't think anybody would actually want to read it. And she did like a lot of like pre-order campaigns, like she made bookmarks and things like that, and like she's just like, no one is actually going to want these things, no one's actually going to care. And then she gets like all of this outpouring love because people actually fall in love with her book and actually are excited, and the book's not even out yet. And I feel like every other video on my For You page is about The Love Hypothesis, and that
I'm
just goes to
telling
show you
you.
like the doubt is not warranted at all.
And like, you may have like, obviously you're gonna have failure, and I think in the writer world, that's the hardest reality. Like you're gonna have books that people hate, and you're gonna have books that no one reads. Especially in Wattpad, you may get 50 reads. I know I get comments all the time on like how to grow your book, blah blah blah. And my biggest thing that I've always been told since I started was, write for yourself. Always
Yeah.
number one. This is your book. Write what you want to read. Always write what you want to read, because at the end of the day, it's your work of art. And don't try and aid towards your readers just because you want views or stuff. Like, write what you're passionate about, and eventually someone's going to appreciate that. Like, one or 1,000 or 1,000,000 people will appreciate it. And yeah, so I think that as much as like first successes are amazing, the reality is a lot like sadder or disappointing. Like I know Victoria Aveyard talks about it a lot. I mean, she's very honest with how, her Red Queen book, was a success and she got like a big check and she's successful because of it, but she doesn't fail to say, she had this background to help her, she had people supporting her financially so she could be this writer. And I think like it just a lot goes into it, but yes, I will say on a completely different topic, I'm so excited for the Love Hypothesis. Like,
Yes.
I cannot wait to read that book.
Especially since it was a Kylo Ren, a Reylo fanfic, which
I know.
Yeah. She's obsessed with Reylo. It's so cute. It's so cute. Like hearing her talk about it, it's so adorable. And she like writes fanfic too. Like besides this book, right? Like she has a bunch of other stuff, and then like they're talking about like writing fanfic about like other books and other like other franchises and like TV shows and things like that. And like it's so funny because like when her editor was like talking about like, okay, we're gonna start working on your cover design for the second book and that she has working like coming out, she's like, okay, so we need a picture of how you want the guy to be for the cover, right? She sends like
she's
the
like
same
Adam Driver.
Exact, yes, she sends the same picture of Adam Driver, and her editor is just like, okay, we need a different one. You sent that one for the first book, now we need one for a different guy. And then she's just like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I see in my mind. So I can't tell you a different one. And I'm just like
I love that.
You're
I love
amazing.
that.
Yes.
I'm so
She's so
excited.
sweet.
Like I just realized how I just recently saw a video about how it was a Reylo fanfic, and like it all makes sense. Like it all makes sense. Like the cover photo, it makes sense. And like I'm so excited to read his character because I already can tell what it's gonna be like. I already can tell what he's gonna be like.
I'm so excited for this book. It looks so good.
The way I love him.
The way another like discourse I've seen a lot is like how like people shame like fan fiction or like fan fiction writers. They say it's creepy, they say it's weird, blah 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 stuff, but then stuff like this happens. Like this work of fan fiction has been made into a work of fiction because it always was fiction in the first place. It was never based off of a real character. It was based off of a fan casted fake fictional character, and now it's turned into this book that's probably going to be a New York Times bestseller because of how like popular it is right now. But I'm just like this is amazing. Like this is what's so great about writing is you can start wherever you want and look where you end up.
It literally can take off from wherever. Like it's just writing. It's just you need to practice it. You need to just do it. Doesn't matter what it starts off. It can literally be like, you writing this one scenario about like an interaction on the street, and like I had this teacher back in high school. He was like a substitute teacher for me. One of my advisory teachers, she went on like maternity leave, so he was like my homeroom teacher for a while, and he was an actor, and he also wrote scripts. And so he was like talking with us one day and doing a creative writing session, and then like he basically did this thing, like he would give us sentence starters, have us writing. He's just like, just write anything that comes out. And like I really enjoyed that. I was just like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And so he's just like, my one advice to you is carry a piece of notebook around with you, a pen, write on your phone or whatever. Whenever like the inspiration hits, no matter what the scene is, write it down. Don't like, just do it, and you'll use it or you won't, but you wrote it and it'll go somewhere.
Best piece of advice.
Like, it's so good, and it like literally has like carried me through so much. And like that mentality, like it may not be always writing like out scenes when I have like my notes, but it's like I carry that with like any ideas that I come up with. Like I'm always putting it down, I'm always using it. And like that advice has taken me so far. And he was, oh my gosh, I think he was like the reason I actually started writing my book back in high school, because he was just like, just do it, write it. And I, at first I was just like, oh, I have this idea. And then he was just like, write it, like do it. Then he ended up leaving. I don't even remember his name, but I ended up writing out like plot lines, characters, world building. I have
I'm telling you,
notebooks filled
like,
with it.
the best advices or advice I've gotten is stuff like that. Even if you have no idea what this story is about, and you're just like, wherever you are, you have this scene in your head, write it down. Like, write out the scene. It could be the middle of the book, it could be the end of the book,
Yeah.
it could be the beginning, it could be an scene. Like, sometimes when you're writing a book, you get writer's block and you have no idea how to get from point A to point B. So just write point A and point B and figure out the middle later. Like, if you're excited about a scene, I've always been told, write that scene. Like, if it's like a dance scene, or they get together, or it's like a big plot and you're excited and it makes you happy to write it then, because you can always go back later and fill in the plot holes and the in between when you're feeling more inspired. But obviously when you're not inspired, you have no idea what to write. So just write what you are feeling in that moment.
Yeah. No,
Because like
I was gonna say I have done that before, where I'm literally driving. I talked with Eamon, where I literally wrote a 700-word scene in like 15 minutes on a break one time, and it was like a smutty, sexy scene. But I was also, while I was writing that, right before that, I was going to work and I was in the car and I was like, I'm thinking of this scene that's gonna happen. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I'm literally driving. So I literally pulled up my voice memo on my Apple Watch and just started saying the scene out in like on my voice. So like I have like 4 or 5 scenes here on my voice memos in my thing, because like because I'm like, I could think of the scene and I'm gonna forget it forever, and it's like, write it down so you have it for later. Like, I haven't gone back to listen to those voice memos yet, but I have a feeling I will.
That's how I actually thought. That's how I figured out how Falling was gonna end. I remember I was driving somewhere. And I was stuck. Like, I didn't know how I was gonna end this story. I started the story for fun. I had no idea where the ending was gonna be. Sometimes you never get the ending until the last second. And I was driving, and then all of a sudden the idea came to me on what like the conflict was gonna be, and then like the ending, like what her backstory is gonna be, and then like how it was going to relate to the ending. And I was like, and I literally still have the notes on my phone. And like that, when I got to where I was going, I literally planned out like the next 10 chapters of how it was going to end. And I wrote it in within a week, because I had randomly thought of how it was going, what her story was going to be. And then I just checked off all the boxes and I was like, it makes sense. And that was that.
Yeah. Because like you like oftentimes as a writer, you forget that though the reader is going to be reading this book from chapter 1 to chapter whatever, they're going to be reading this book chronologically as they flip through or scroll through the pages. As a writer, you do not have to write the book chronologically. You can write it however you want. You can write it from the middle, the beginning, this one cute little moment. You do not have to write it in order for it to make sense, because you can literally cut and paste and do anything to reorganize the book however you want. And even if you end up like writing out a whole scene and then you're just like, you know what, this scene doesn't really go with what I'm going for in this book, don't delete it. Just cut it from that document, put it somewhere else as like to be used later or something else, and you'll end up using that scene some other way through some other manner. Like, I think that thought stopped me a lot when Maggie and I were writing, because we're also writing a book. We haven't gotten back to it in a while, but we will.
It's gonna be like in like 3 months after I'm done with school. We were supposed to do it this summer,
It'll
and we did
happen.
not.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
I said
someday,
I was gonna
sometime.
write a sequel this summer, and I never did, or I never finished it. So it's coming slowly but surely.
It happens. But I was having like a really intense like writer's block, and like I knew everything that was supposed to happen. I saw it, I planned it out. I'm just like, we're gonna have this scene, this scene, this scene, this. And even to the following books, because it's a trilogy that
We planned out
we're
3
just
books.
like, we planned out 3 books, and we're like, we're not even done writing
We
the
haven't
first
even written
one.
the
We're
first
writing,
book yet.
but we know it's going to be 3 books. We have a plan, and I could not write a single scene, and I tried, and it would not come out until I read this book that was sent to me. It was like a self-published book. I feel like it was like a first run of it, and it had the structure of a good book, but the editing was not there. The plot line, some of the points were just didn't make sense. Some of the description, the writing was not to where it needed to be. It needed to go through intense editing. And reading that book, my mind, like, I forced myself to finish it. My mind was editing this book as I was reading it, and I was just like, this does not make sense. This is what I would do. And I was just like, this should happen. And I wrote out basically how the scene in that book went, how it should have gone. And like, I was like, oh, I could use this. And I saved it. And I'm most likely going to end up using it in the book that we have. And the inspiration often comes from like seeing something done and being like, I can do that, but I can do it better. And it may not be better, but it's different, and you made it yourself, and you did it.
Yeah.
Just let other people read it, and that's the hard part too, because like when I was writing my first draft, like back in high school, I had everybody read it. I had my boyfriend from high school read it. I had my 2 English teachers read it and edit it, and my best friends, my volleyball friends who didn't even go to school with me, I had everybody reading it. And when I read it now, I'm just like, this is the trash that I let you people read?
Dude, that's how I feel about Falling right now. I'm like, I can't believe I wrote that, and that was a year ago. Not even that was not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a first draft, We'll fix it later. We'll fix it at some point, sometime down the line, And my dad, he went to USC for English literature and for philosophy, and he actually is a writer. Does not publish anything, but he has so many stories handwritten out of like growing up, and telling the stories of like him and his brothers, and like his brother passing away, and like his whole history and his past and all these things. And like he would give it to me and my brother to read, and I'm just like, why don't you put all of this together? And he's just like, no, I don't think so. And it's that thing of like, he would go through these phases of writing everything out and then falling off and not writing a single word for months, years, and then getting back into it. And it's just kind of that thing that you have to kind of push through, of like these waves of not wanting to write, not wanting to do anything, and then you get back into it. And it's kind of depressing when you think about it, because you're just like, damn, I did not create anything. But it's not so much that you have to do it for other people, you're doing it for you. And that's kind of what you have to remember. Like, yeah, you want people to read this, but at the end of the day, you're writing it because you felt like it needed to be written.
Yeah.
And the story that you write, no one else is going to be able to write it. We might get the same tropes, here and there, but it will never be done the way that you can do it, So take that wherever you will. All right. Yeah.
Great advice.
Well, I think that's a perfect conclusion wrap up of kind of our whole podcast episode. I don't know how to end this. We've been
this is
going
like
for a while now.
we went into it.
It's almost 10 p.m. where Jenna is at. So I'm like looking at the time. I'm like, oh, she's probably tired right now. I have work in like an hour. So yeah, I have a desk receptionist job in a residence hall, so I gotta go to that. But thank you, Jenna, for coming on to the podcast. We had such a good talk. We talked about so many things, like Star Wars.
Thank
many
you
good
for inviting
things.
me.
We haven't talked about
Thank
Star
you
Wars,
for-
I think,
Yes.
yet on the podcast, really.
We haven't.
So-
This is a good moment to bring it up. This was honestly so fun to do. We've been wanting to have you on for quite a while. We say that for everybody, but it's literally because every time we think about our podcast and we think about guests, we're just like, we gotta have this person and this person and this person. And we're just like, we can't record that many episodes at the time. And so like
we plan months
always
ahead.
we plan months ahead. So having you on has been awesome. And we've been looking forward to it for so long. And we thank you for taking time out of your night to record with us.
Well, thank you for having me. This is very fun. I think I always say it's so fun to meet people who are just like you all over the world or all over the country. So this is really fun. Thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you to all of our listeners, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, our German listeners. We have quite a bit of German listeners on here, so shout out to y'all. Hello. And then Australia as well. German and Australia is like we're popping in that section. So like, hey guys. But all of Jenna's links will be linked down in our YouTube bio, so you can definitely check Jenna out on TikTok, Bookstagram, everywhere. Go read her book. But yeah, so we'll see you next week. We have Ofa is going to be our podcast guest for next week. We're so excited. So thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, you guys.